Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG. We got more sweet spoilers from Bloomborough. But before we get started, you know the drill. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good jazz. Because once we get to 1,000 peeps, it's giveaway time. And every milestone after that, there'll be more. So, hang in there. Hey, it's free for subscription. Just got to watch the channel. So, don't forget, also, there's links in the description to the eBay store TCG player where all my box opening cards go up for sale to help support the channel and give you the sweet cards you need that you know are fresh, you know are real, and normally has insurance because it's an eBay thing, but if you buy on TCG player, that's on you. Anyway, let's get into it. We're going to start this spoiler season day thing off with the season of the Burrow. So this is part of the as I coined yesterday, toe beans cycle, I guess we'll say. So 2 white and 3, you get 5 toe beans worth of modes. You may choose to say mode once. 1 toe bean will get you a 1/1 white rabbit. 2 toe beans will exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. Interesting. 3 toe beans, return target permanent card, mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. Seems okay. Probably the 3 toe bean one I thought was going to be bad because it's 5 mana for 3 or less. But indestructible counter, that is something because indestructible counter. With that said, I mean you can for 5 mana make 5 1/1s. That's also a very good thing. So, maybe some play here in Standard. Definitely Limited. I'm sure some hooligan out there put this in Commander. But anyway, moving on. Next, we have Korskiskin May. What the hell is that word? Anyway, tell me in the comment section. And no, don't spell it out. Anyway, red and 1 for a 2/2 has Offspring 2. For those of you who don't know, Offspring is where you pay 2 extra mana. You get a copy of the cards you just played, except it's a 1/1 token with the same abilities. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's actually pretty good for an uncommon, I'm not going to lie. However, the Offspring, I don't know about that. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It can make a variance of a Storm deck, maybe even in Standard. Or Pioneer, Commander shenanigans, who knows? But it's just fine and limited. I mean, 2 mana 2/2 with a little bit of bonus, and late game you can make some blockers or things to kill your opponent with, whatever. So yeah. All right, next we have Byway Barterer. So this Raccoon Rogue, Crash Panda, is a red and 2 for a 3/3 menace. Whenever you expend 4, which just means spending 4 mana in the same turn, you may discard your hand if you do draw 2 cards. This is very cool, because you could just go for days. What she said, but normally don't happen. But anyway, this is very good. The only bad thing about this is once you hit 4th mana, if you spend another 4 mana, you don't get the ability again. It's only during your turn, so you Storm players out there and combo players, slow your roll. It's not that good. However, it is still good. Not going to lie. All right, moving on. Next, we have Star Charter. So we have a white and 3 Bat Cleric. It's all white. That's, this is something. So it has flying. It's a 3/1 because Bat. Anyway, beginning of your end step, if you gained or lost life this turn, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card, power 3 or less from among them, and put it into your hand, the rest on the bottom in a random order. Great for limited, just because it's a 4 mana 3/1 flyer. The odds of you getting something 3 or less to put in your hand are probably okay, but let's be honest. 3 or less things are not going to win you anything in limited once your opponent gets to 5 mana. Just going to put that out there. Don't hate me for it. I'm just being honest. So, because when the rest go on the bottom in a random order, you can't stack your deck, so forth and so on. Anyway, moving on. So next, after that, we have Stargaze, which is 2 black and X. Look at twice X cards from the top of your library. Put X cards from among them into your hand. The rest into the graveyard. You lose X life. Your basic black draw ability, it'll be fine and limited, and that's probably it. Next, we have Dawn's Truce, a white and 1 instant. It has gift a card. For those of you who don't know what gifting is, this is when you do what the gift ability is to get a special effect. So this one's gift a card, so your opponent gets to draw a card. You and permanents you control gain hexproof to the end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible to end of turn. This is probably going to be really good because not only does it protect against targeted spells, but if the opponent does happen to run a board wipe, you can let them draw another card to make your team indestructible. Kind of the best of both worlds, because normally 2 mana spells don't give hexproof and indestructible in white, so interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Next, we have Downwind Ambusher. It's a skunk assassin. Get it? Downwind skunk. It stinks. Anyway, moving on. Black and 3 for this 4/2 flash creature. Yeah, if anything, if you lived in the Midwest, the skunk is the assassin that has flash. Let me tell you what, the little fuckers. Anyway, target when it enters the battlefield, you get to choose one. Target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1, or destroy target creature an opponent controls that was dealt damage. So this is a basic card that we've had before with deal damage, 4/2, 4 mana flash, kill the creature. The fact it also has a -1/-1, meaning that it can kill 1/1s if it doesn't block something, makes it a little more versatile and definitely more playable than the other card that's just like it that has seen plenty of play in Limited. So next we have the infamous Cruel Claw. Weasel Mercenary, red, black, and 1 for a 3/3 menace. Already a good rate. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. Oh, this is sweet. Everything in the deck's Force of Will now. Plus it's red-black. And it says non-land card. So, like, the shenanigans. Like, oh, is that a Grizzlebrand? Here, let me discard this land. So, yeah, this is going to be busted in Standard. And maybe some older formats, Pioneer, what have you, Commander, definitely. Yeah, I'd probably pick up a foil of these if you're into these colors, because this is going to be probably expensive eventually. We have Burrow Guard Mentor, white, green, X, or star. It has trample. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control. So at least it's a 1/1. At least. But if you've got a lot of creatures, i.e. rabbit tokens, this thing's a beast. So, yeah, probably pretty good for Standard. Next, we have Vryn the Relentless. Blue, black, and 2 for a 3/4 with Ward 2. If a creature an opponent controls would die, you exile it instead. Seems a lot like almost Kalitas. Almost said the different. Anyway, at the beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 black creature tokens with this creature gets +1/+1 for each other rat you control, where X is the number of creatures your opponent controlled that were exiled this turn. Yeah, Kalitas. This is a new version, and it may be better because it has ward and shit gets bigger. So, yeah, this it was real big in a lot of formats, even modern and stuff, because of the ability to exile. And this is pretty much the same thing, maybe even better. So, look out, Standard. Here it comes. Next, we have Innkeeper's Talent, a green and 1. This is another class card, which is, I don't know why Innkeeper's Talent's a class. Anyway, first off, you get at the beginning of combat your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. Not bad. For 1 green, you get level 2. Permanents you control with counters on them have ward 1. Pretty sweet. For 3 and 1 green, if you would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice that many of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. Good old Dublin season there. At a discount, not a mythic. So this is going to see lots of play. I don't think it's going to be expensive because it's not as good as Doubling Season. Maybe it is. Fuck, Jesus. But yeah, keep an eye on this card. It's definitely going to be popular. Next, we have Thistledown Players. 1 white and 2 colorless. For a 3/3 Mouse Bard, whenever it attacks, untap target non-land permanent. That sounds good. For Limited. Next, we have Life Creed Duo, white and 1 for a 1/2 flyer. Whenever another creature you control enters, you gain 1 life. We've seen this before. Not terrible for limited. We also have Dewdrop Cure. Oh, this art is just spanking it. Oh my god, this is good. I don't know what whoever made this. Kudos to you. That's some sweet shit right there. Anyway, white and 2 sorcery, gift of a card. Return up to 2 target creature cards, mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield if the gift was promised. Instead, return up to 3 target creature cards with the mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Not bad. Next, we have the Thought Shucker. Not Sucker. Shucker. Anyway, blue and 1 for a 1/3 rat rogue. Has Threshold. So once you get Threshold, 7 cards in your graveyard. A blue and 1, put a +1/+1 counter on Thought Shucker, and draw a card. Activate only if 7 more cards are in your graveyard and only once. That's a lot less cool than I thought it'd be. I mean, fine for limited, maybe even Commander. We have Finch Formation, blue and 2 for this 2/2 Bird Scout. Has Offspring 3, which means you can make more 1/1s that are the copy of this that have flying. And when this creature enters, target creature you control gains flying to the end of turn. I mean, that's a little uncool, but I mean, 2/2 flyer for 3. What more do you want in life? Bone Cash Overseer, 1 black for a 1/1 Squirrel Warlock. We've seen it all now. Tap, pay 1 life, draw a card, activate only if 3 or more cards left your graveyard this turn, or if you sacrificed a food. It's actually pretty good. It's going to be great for limited play, maybe even Commander. It's might see standard play, honestly. Scales of Shale. So black and 2 instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each lizard you control. Target creature gets +2/+0, gains lifelink and indestructible. So if great combat trick for limited. Not even gonna lie. Next we have Dire Sight, black and 2 sorcery. Surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, and you lose 2 life. Basic common black draw spell for limited. We have Conduct Electricity, a red and 4 instant. It deals 6 damage to target creature, 2 damage to up to 1 target creature token. We actually had the card just like this in the last set, so I mean it's fine for limited. Next we have Steam Path Charger, red and 1 for a 2/1, has Offspring 2. When this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to target player, so this is really good for a deck that's going to have a lot of mana in red, which is an oxymoron. But anyway, not bad for limited. Probably see a little bit of play. Next, we have Long Stalk Brawl. That's funny. Get it? Stalk, celery. Anyway, 1 green, gift a tapped fish. That means they get a tapped blue fish. It's 1/1. Choose target creature you control and target creature you don't. Put a +1/+1 counter on the creature you control. If the gift was promised, then those creatures fight each other. So you don't have to gift it if you just want to put a +1/+1 on something. But I would probably kill something with it. But anyway, moving on. Next, we have Treetop Sentries, squirrels in the house, and their archers, except for the guy with the knife. Anyway, green and 3 for this 2/4 with reach. When the sentry enters, you may forage. If you do, draw a card. And if you can see here, forage, for those who don't know, is exiling 3 cards from your graveyard of any type, or just sacrificing food. So great for limited. Next, we have Bark Form Harvester, 3 colorless for a 2/3 changeling shapeshifter squirrel. Anyway, has reach, and for 2 colorless, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Fine card for limited. It's whatever. It's filler space. Next, we have Mist Breath Elder, 1 green for a 2/2 Frog Warrior. It's rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Mistborn Elder. Otherwise, you may return Mistborn Elder to its hand. So, as long as you don't pick it up, it's just going to keep getting bigger. And if you have creatures that come in with ETB triggers, this thing is house, especially for 1 green. Holy cow. This is going to see a lot of play in some weird combos, shenanigan decks, and especially in Commander. I look for this thing to make some waves. Next, we have Feather of Flight, white and 1, flash, enchant creature. When it enters, you draw a card. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and flying. So it's a combat trick, kind of, sort of. But hey, you get to draw from it. It gives something flying so you can block or jump over the other team. This seems like a great card for limited. Next, we have the Hired Claw. I almost tried to read this. I was just like, what the fuck is that? Anyway, we have the Hired Claw. It is a 1 red, 1/2 Lizard Mercenary. It is a rare. Whenever you attack with one or more lizards, Hired Claw deals 1 damage to target opponent. Pretty good. Doesn't have haste. For a red and 1, put a +1/+1 counter on Hired Claw. Activate this ability only if an opponent has lost life this turn and only once per turn. That is still amazing. This may be a card good enough for the burn deck in Modern, just because, I mean, maybe not because you got to pump mana into it. But in Limited and Standard, this is going to be house. I mean, you lay it on turn 1. Turn 2, you swing. You pump it, the opponent takes the damage. You pump it up to a 2/3. The next turn, you do it again. Now it's a 3/4. Like, this is going to be an issue on turn 1, especially for Standard decks. All right, next we have Hivespine Wolverine. 2 green and 3. 2 green and 3. 5 mana total for a 5 full Wolverine Elemental, which is something in itself. When it enters, you get to choose one, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature control, so this could be a 6/5 for 5. It fights target creature token. Okay, a token, I guess. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Ooh, disenchant with big legs. Big, fat, beefy, bony legs. This is going to be great in Limited, by far. I think it's a little too expensive to see other play in other formats. It may sneak into Standard, depending on how the format goes. Next, we have Impeachable Recycling. 1 green and 1 instant. Gift a card. Return target permanent card from the graveyard to your hand. If the gifted card was promised, return 2 target permanent cards from the graveyard to your hand instead. Pretty good. Not gonna lie. All right. Next we have Splash Lasher. That's a mouthful. Anyway, so blue and 3 for this 3/3 Frog Wizard. Has offspring of blue and 1. When this creature enters, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. That's pretty good if you got like 5 or 7 mana laying around. I ain't gonna lie. But even without that, 4 mana for a 3/3, tap a creature, put a stun counter on it. Limited powerhouse. Next we have Heartfire Challenger. Red and 1. Mouse Warrior. It's got haste. It's a 2/2. Has prowess. And it has Valiant. Whenever the challenger becomes a target of spell or ability you control for the first time each turn, exile top card of your library. You may play that card until end of turn. Man, that Red Rush deck's really coming together in this format, especially with all these new cards coming out of Bloomburrow. Just putting it out there. So, yeah, be on the lookout. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. Until next time, be kind. And as always, I hope to see you across from the game table. Maybe at Gen Con. Hell, who knows? Can't wait. Gen Con. Woo.